祈りをお願いします。ヨガのレッスンです。スローテンポです。今日も一日楽しいレッスンができることと思ってます。いつもの通り事故のないように一日見守ってください。主イエスキリストによってお願いします。アメン。
These folks, the LGBTQ, they will not stop. I mean, we are in a spiritual battle, and the pastors, you are just awesome, and many other pastors are really just, getting in the fight, but some are just still la-di-da. I mean, 40 million Christians didn't even vote, and Trump's probably like, well, what do I need them for? They sit on the sidelines. Not all of us. I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, you're exactly right, Paula. I don't understand. Tom Askell was on the program Wednesday, and we were talking about the results of the election. And I said, I don't understand these guys that, they're too high and mighty or pure or whatever they have in their minds that I can't vote for this candidate. I can't vote for a pro-abortion candidate. Well, I don't want to vote for a pro-abortion candidate either. But you have one who wants to kill babies up through 9 months and even afterward, if the mother chooses. As a botched abortion, the baby is born, but let the baby die. That kind of attitude versus somebody that is at least open to hearing why this is wrong. I shared with some people, I said, you had one side that's anti-God and the other side that's open to God. You want to vote for the candidate who's open to God. And all these guys, to my knowledge, all these guys that said, well, I'm not voting for Trump, and they wrote in, I saw where some guy wrote in, and he was very open about it. He wrote in his vote for Dusty Devers for president. Well, Dusty Devers wasn't on the ballot, and so he's not going to win. So when you are a conservative Christian and you vote for Dusty Devers, you help the other side. Now, this guy admitted that he wanted, or one of those guys that didn't vote for Trump admitted they wanted Trump to win versus Kamala Harris. But to me, that's hypocritical. Okay, you recognize that she is far worse, but you're not going to bring yourself to vote for the guy that would be, in that comparison, far better. If she's far worse, he's far better. But they wouldn't vote for him and didn't lead their people to vote for him and kind of gave people an out. You don't need to vote. I think it was John Piper that said he didn't even vote. Well, if everybody did as he did, guess what? Kamala Harris would be the president. And if all the Christians just said, well, we're not going to get involved, it's too messy, it's too dirty, it's too evil, well, you just give it over to the evildoers. And the phrase that has become so popular, all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. And so good people need to get involved, and pastors need to start standing up and speaking up and being courageous. We like it when Tucker Carlson does that. We like it when Sean Hannity does that. We like it when Elon Musk does that. But we don't want to do it. We don't want to take the hits for standing up, and we need to be courageous. Our theme at First Baptist Texarkana for 2025, strong and courageous. Have I not commanded you? God said to Joshua. Be strong and courageous. Do not tremble or be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So I appreciate your call, Paula. Anything else to add?
No. No, well, I know abortion is wrong. I know this. I lived it, and I live with it this day, and it was over 30, 40 years ago. But you have babies, and I worked on the border during the Bush era, and I've worked on the border in the military, and these babies and children that are coming over, they are being abused and sex trafficked. And for people to sit and say, I'm not voting, just because of abortion, but that some of these so-called pious Christians are sitting and not voting for Trump, that just sickens me, because I've been down there and I've seen, the poor children and the babies. If people don't think that that's happening to those children, they need to wake up, because it is. There's a place called Snake Alley in Thailand where babies are used, and I will just leave it at that.
That's just sickening. That's sickening. That's going to bring the judgment of God. Jesus said it would be better that a millstone be tied around your neck and you're thrown into the deepest sea than you do something so terrible, so horrible to one of these little ones. Well, thank you, Paula, for that. I appreciate you calling in. Lee, in Texas, we just have about another minute. If you can share it just real quickly.
Yes, I like to say that Donald Trump, when I listen about Donald Trump, they say that it's about the working class. And what is it that the working class wants? To me, I believe they want the tax cut on Social Security, chips, and overtime. And I think that those tax cuts are worth fighting for.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, thanks for listening to Real Truth for today. It's always a joy to be able to share with you. I'm Pastor Jeff Shreve, the pastor of First Baptist Church in Texarkana, Texas, and the founder of From His Heart Ministries. From His Heart is heard every weeknight at 6 p.m. Central Time right here on American Family Radio. Hey, have a great weekend. Remember the two words, shine and share. Our job as Christians, shine for Christ in the way we live, and share, open our mouths, and tell people what great things the Lord has done for us and how He had mercy on us. And if you will shine and you will share, God will use you as His witness. God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
90.5 KTXG, Greenville, Dallas.
State employee, you have the opportunity to support the American Family Association through the combined.
お父さん、今日のサンドイッチは2つ作ったけど、あれだから味は同じじゃないから違う味だよね。両方とも違う味だから。
A listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
Israeli officials reacting to President-elect Trump's win. Israeli permanent representative to the UN, Danny Danon, says he's looking forward to working with the president over the next 4 years.
I believe that the president and his new team will support us when we fight evil. We have so many fronts, but it all goes to Iran. So I think the main question is who will be sitting next to the president dealing with the Iranian question.
Donald Trump has made his first major decision as president, naming Susie Wiles as his White House chief of staff. Trump says Wiles was instrumental in his comeback election victory and deserves to be the first ever female chief of staff. Some critics are already pointing out her lack of experience in Washington, but former Michigan gubernatorial candidate Tudor Dixon, who worked with Wiles, says that's a blessing.
What a blessing to not have some experience with the people in the swamp trying to bend your ear. She's going to go in there and they're afraid of her. That's the best part about this. This is a woman who just ran a Fortune 500 company overnight, and she was incredibly successful at it. This is the best case scenario for the United States of America. We don't want someone going in there that has already made deals with people, that has loyalties to people. Susie Wiles is going in there for the American people, and that's the most exciting news I could ever possibly hear about this administration.
The left is already threatening to try and stymie President Trump's agenda through the courts. In just the last 48 hours, we've heard California Governor Gavin Newsom, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, and New York Attorney General Letitia James all pretending to talk tough, saying they will fight Trump every step of the way.
So no matter what the next administration throws at us, we're ready.
Former Assistant U.S. Attorney Matt Whitaker, who is said to be in the running for Trump's next Attorney General, responds to these comments.
Well, I think we should expect that they would all act in the interests of their citizens and the American people who have just said that they want Donald Trump to be successful. And so anyone that is trying to resist Donald Trump's agenda that works for the American people, that works for American families, again, I think is working against the interests of their fellow citizens. But the Department of Justice needs to go into these blue cities and work cooperatively with the local police and sheriff's deputies to, again, bring about public safety and make sure that gun criminals are taken off the streets, and make sure we, participate in this deportation operation that is going to make everyone safer and more secure.
A lot of liberals woke up Wednesday morning depressed and frustrated from a sound thrashing on Election Day. But maybe none are more upset than Never Trump evangelicals. Steve Jordahl reports.
The pages of Russell Moore's Christianity Today are filled with soul-searching editorials wondering why their brothers and sisters in the faith had missed some fifth spiritual law that says you should never support Donald Trump. New York Times columnist David French tweeted out, quote, "We can grieve the loss, but the period of mourning should be short." Supposed evangelicals for Harris seem lost. Quote, "Many are asking what to do now in an America with Trump as president." Richard Land of Southern Evangelical Seminary has a thought.
Well, I think the major lesson to be learned is that when you're in leadership and you turn around and nobody's following, you're just out for a walk.
Dr. Robert Jeffress of First Baptist Dallas hopes Never Trump evangelicals see the error of their ways, or at least are open to a ceasefire.
I think we need to realize that what unites us is more than what divides us, and I hope this would be a time to do a giant reset, and let's gather around what Christianity is about, and that's the proclamation of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
But Land says little will change for the Trump haters. In fact, much like Trump-deranged mainstream media outlets, they might even get energized from 4 years of fighting Trump.
I think that they will continue to suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, and they will make excuses to deny the clear indications of last night's election.
I'm Steve Jordahl.
More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty P.
Interested in seminary but don't think it will work in this season in life? Wesley Biblical Seminary offers flexible options that allow you to take classes live no matter where you are. At WBS, we don't just educate people, we develop trusted leaders for faithful churches. It's time for you to respond to the calling God has on your life. Take classes from an institution that you can trust for a calling that will not go away. Learn more about your opportunities at wbs.edu. That's wbs.edu.
Having an emergency fund is great, but how can you ensure it's there when you really need it? Hi, I'm Rob West. It's easy to set aside money for a rainy day, but what happens when we start dipping into that fund for things that aren't truly emergencies? Today we'll consider 3 questions you should ask before dipping into your emergency fund to ensure that the money's there when you need it. And we have lots of great listener questions ahead, but we won't be taking your live calls today because this program is pre-recorded. This is Faith and Finance on American Family Radio. Well, the Bible is filled with pointed messages that we should take to heart and memorize so they pop into our heads when we need them most. One such verse is Proverbs 21:20, which, as you might expect, we cite fairly often here on the program. It reads, "Precious treasure and oil are in a wise man's dwelling, but a foolish man devours them." It's a warning against spending everything we earn, calling it foolish because it leaves us unprepared for the inevitable mishaps of life on earth. Most of us have experienced a financial emergency at some point in our lives. They may be relatively minor, a tire goes flat, or they could be significant, a huge medical bill hits. But whether minor or major, we all run into unexpected expenditures. Whether it's our cars breaking down or a random house repair, we can avoid stressful times through some financial preparation. An emergency fund is one of the best tools around in financial management because while it's important to have a strong offense in building wealth, you equally need a strong defense. You want an introductory emergency fund, generally between $1,000 and $1,500, that sufficiently covers most minor emergencies. However, once you've paid off all your debt, besides your mortgage, and you're receiving your company's match, if you have one, it's crucial that you increase that emergency fund to 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses to protect yourself from a more significant financial crisis, like a job loss. This larger fund acts as a safeguard, helping you avoid unnecessary debt when major financial disruptions occur. However, having an emergency fund is only half the battle. The other half is knowing when it's appropriate to use it. It's easy to dip into those savings for non-emergencies, but doing so can leave you financially vulnerable. So, how do you determine if an expense qualifies as an emergency? Here are 3 questions to ask before tapping into your emergency fund. Question 1. Is it urgent? Does something need to be fixed or bought right now? Or can we wait and save up for it? If a so-called emergency can wait, it most likely doesn't fall into the emergency category. If you're unsure whether something constitutes an emergency, try waiting 30 days before using your emergency fund. Obviously, that doesn't work if it's a car repair job and you only have 1 car. But if you have 2 cars, maybe it can wait until you've saved up something to put toward the repair. Question number 2, is this necessary? Sadly, our purchases and debt struggles demonstrate that many people struggle with discerning between a need and a want. For instance, buying a new car is a want, not a need. If you need transportation now, opt for a cheaper used vehicle and save up for a more reliable one over time. Question number 3, is this really an unexpected expense? There's a huge difference between getting fired and forgetting to save up for Christmas presents. Birthdays and Christmas happen at the same time every year, so these are not considered unexpected expenses, no matter how poorly we've prepared. These questions will prevent you from using emergency funds on things that don't fall into that emergency category. If we can honestly answer yes to each one, then go ahead and use the fund. But does that mean you should just wave your debit card at it and make it go away? Not at all. You still have to be careful even when emergency fund spending is justified. Make sure you spend as little as possible. Use the car example again. You may have an accident and need major repairs that are not covered by insurance. Hopefully you've been saving for a new car anyway. You can then use some or all of that money for repairs or replacing the vehicle if need be. That will minimize the hit on your emergency fund. Also, before using emergency funds, take a serious look at your budget to find any areas you can trim. Can you temporarily reduce regular spending to make your emergency money go further? That will also help you rebuild your emergency fund as quickly as possible and back up to the ideal 3 to 6 months of living expenses. And one final and important note, you always want to have sufficient savings so that in times of scarcity, you can still give generously and save what you need to and live with peace of mind. I hope that's helpful. As I said, we're off today, so don't call in, but we've got some great calls lined up in advance, and we'll go to those in just a minute. I'm Rob West, and we'll be right back.
For your walk with Jesus, I'm David Rowland with Haven Today, inviting you to anchor your day in God's Word. Albert King was a famous 20th century guitarist. He famously sang, "Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die." And he's right. Death is one of the greatest fears we have. No one knows when or how it will happen, but unless Christ returns first, we know it will happen. King David, though, was not afraid. He knew that his shepherd was with him, and he wrote, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." So, when you're in a dark valley, look to Jesus. He is there, and he can and will comfort you and lead you to rest. Try out Anchor Devotional. Visit getanchor.com.
Paying too much for health insurance? Frustrated by high deductibles and increasing premiums? There's a better way. Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is a Christian community delivering a faith-based solution to the high costs of healthcare. Take control over your healthcare costs with a program from CHM that could save you up to 40%. Learn more and enroll today at chministries.org/faithfi. That's chministries.org/faithfi.
Hey, if your travels for work or with you. You may already know you can listen to the AFR app on your phone, but wait, there's more. If your vehicle is equipped with Apple CarPlay, it can open the AFR app directly. That means you get easier control, and that means it's safer. Safer to use so you can stay informed on what you need to know to keep your family safe. And if you don't already have the AFR app, get it today. It's always free in the App Store.
We're grateful for support from Movement Mortgage, who provides residential home loans in all 50 states. Guided by a mission to love and value people and a goal to redefine the mortgage process, Movement seeks to help others achieve their financial goals. You can find out more at movement.com/faith. Movement Mortgage LLC supports equal housing opportunity, NMLS number 39179. For licensing information, please visit nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
We are grateful for support from Timothy Plan. Are you unsure if your investments align with your values? Well, for nearly 3 decades, the goal of the Timothy Plan has been to guide clients on a biblically responsible journey with its mutual funds and ETFs. More information is available at timothyplan.com. Investing includes risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider funds, investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com. Read carefully before investing. Mutual funds distributed by Timothy Partners Ltd. and ETFs distributed by Foresight Fund Services LLC.
I'm delighted to have you with us today on Faith and Finance on American Family Radio. My name is Rob West, and I'm ready to dive into your calls and questions today. But first, we like to see what's happening in the news that you might need to be aware of, and this one, unfortunately, is related to scams. Imposter scams have taken a troubling new turn, affecting investors seeking financial advice online. Now, traditionally, these scams involve criminals posing as government agencies or well-known companies using emails, texts, or phone calls to trick victims into giving up money or personal information. However, scammers are now shifting their focus to WhatsApp and similar platforms, posing as trusted financial advisors. Here's the latest on how these scams work. First of all, scammers set up fake chat rooms, making them look like they're hosted by real and sometimes well-known financial advisors. They do this by pulling legitimate information from these advisors' websites or maybe from their social media profiles. That gives the chat rooms an air of authenticity. Then, to lure in unsuspecting investors, the crooks initially share mainstream financial advice and market commentary, which builds trust and credibility. So then once the users feel comfortable, the scammers try to rope them into various schemes. They may offer trading advice in digital currencies or other assets, or maybe they'll ask for fees in exchange for personalized financial services. No matter the offer, it's all a ploy to steal sensitive personal information and money. Now, here's what investors need to know. This is a key idea. Legitimate financial advisors in the United States are highly regulated, and they're prohibited from using platforms like WhatsApp to give financial advice or to promote their services or even to solicit clients. They also aren't allowed to use social media to provide specific investment advice. And so if they're doing that, you can just assume that they're not legitimate because it's not legal. Now, if you're looking for financial advice, always ensure that you're dealing with a registered and licensed professional through office channels. And if something feels off, well, it probably is. Your instincts are right, and you should avoid these new sophisticated imposter scams. Now, this is a great time for me to remind you as well that here at Faith and Finance Live, we recommend the Certified Kingdom Advisor designation. These are men and women who've met high standards, including achieving the only industry-accepted designation around biblically wise professional financial advice. That means they've gone through a 60-hour university-based course, passed a proctored exam. Beyond that, pastor and client references, statement of faith, code of ethics, annual continuing education. Not to mention that on top of all of that, they've had a regulatory review and met an experience requirement. It's a high bar. And because of that, and that's the way we want it, we can feel good about you connecting with these folks. So I interview 2 or 3 always, but you can find one in your area when you head to our website, faithfi.com. That's faithfi.com. And when you do so, just click Find a Professional. hope that helps. But yeah, be on your guard against these imposters out there. They are getting very, very creative. All right, let's dive in today. We're going to begin with Sue in Pennsylvania. Sue, go right ahead.
Yes, I am going to turn 65 this December, and I'm facing the Medicare decision. So I wondered, what about the health sharing ministries? Would that be a good option in addition to Medicare or instead of Medicare?
Yeah, it certainly could be a great add-on for Medicare, and they call it Senior Share at Christian Healthcare Ministries, and really is kind of a bonus on top of to cover some of those things that aren't covered by Medicare. And so I would look at it and explore that specifically for you. When you go to chministries.org, you're specifically going to want to look at Senior Share. And that particular program is meant to kind of work in tandem with Medicare, but again, provide benefits beyond that. So I think it could be a great addition to your healthcare strategy, not only the extra benefits and being able to offset some additional medical costs, but the community aspect to it as well. So you can just head to chministries.org, Sue, and that would give you everything that you need.
Right. Okay, just one other question. Do you know if CH Ministries covers functional medicine doctors as opposed to traditional?
I believe they do, but what you would want to do is, give them the specific information about the doctors that you've been working with. But yes, my understanding is they do cover the functional doctors in addition to traditional.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
All right. You're welcome, Sue. Call anytime. To Lawrence, Kansas. Stan, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, I'm 39 now, and I've never saved for retirement, and I have a job where I'm able to, and I just have I don't know where to start.
Yeah. So tell me about the option you have available to you, Stan. You said I have a job where I'm able to, but you haven't started. What does that look like?
It's just I make way more money than I've ever made before, so I have just a lot of money just laying around, I guess.
Okay, very good. And that's certainly a helpful starting place. What do they have that they've offered to you? Do they have a 401k or something like that?
The company has not. It's just me to be more personally responsible with my money.
Got it. Okay, so they've not offered you, or nor do they have available a retirement plan for employees?
No, sir.
Okay, and are you self-employed working as an independent contractor, or are you W-2?
A W-2.
Okay. Yeah, so the starting point would be a Roth IRA. Are you single or married?
Single.
Okay. So you could put in $7,000 into an IRA this year, and that would be a great beginning point. But you're quickly going to get to the end of that, and so then you're going to want to look at other options beyond that. Because you're W-2, it does create some limitations. How much do you think you'd have available to be able to put into a retirement plan?
About $2,000 a month.
Okay, yeah, so $24,000 a year. So what you perhaps might want to look at is something called an individual 401k. An individual K is what it's called, and it's for those who don't have a 401k offered by their employer. That would be one option. Another would be you could basically use an insurance product to save. Normally, I don't recommend those as a first option, but when somebody's run out of their investment options or retirement options because either they don't have them available or they've maxed it out and they're trying to catch up, you could use an insurance product. Here's what I would probably do. I'd probably sit down with an advisor who could look at your situation and advise you on the very best strategy. In the meantime, go ahead and open that Roth IRA. You could do that at Fidelity or Schwab, and then you could start putting in, a couple of thousand a month until you get to the 7,000 cap, and get that invested in some good stock mutual funds that could grow for the future. And then you can find a CKA at our website, faithfi.com. Thanks for your call, sir. Let me mention, folks, if you haven't checked out the FaithFi app, we'd love for you to do that. Think about this. Inside the app, there is a community of stewards that are sharing best practices, asking questions, encouraging each other on their stewardship journeys, and there's no cost to participate in that. Also, all of our broadcast archives are there, and we bring together the best content in biblical It's based on Larry Burkett's digital envelope system. It's all in the FaithFi app. Go to faithfi.com and click app. You can download it today. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
When you're shopping for toothpaste, does suggested profanity in their commercial cause you to be more likely to buy it? No. You want clean teeth, fresh breath, and maybe some whitener, right? Well, Hello needs to hear that the implication of foul language doesn't increase your desire to buy their toothpaste. In fact, the opposite is true. Please sign the petition at 1millionmoms.com asking Hello to cancel their strangely noticeable commercial and be more responsible in their ads. 1millionmoms.com.
We're grateful for support from Guidestone, whose diversified suite of investment solutions align with Christian values to create positive change in the world. More information is available at guidestonefunds.com/faith. Investing involves risk, including potential loss of principal. Carefully consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of Guidestone funds before investing. They're distributed by Foresight Funds Distributors, LLC, which is not an advisory affiliate, a registered investment advisor, nor do they provide investment advice.
The loss of a child through abortion, miscarriage, or stillbirth affects the emotional health of families. Feelings of anger, sadness, and regret can be overwhelming. There is hope and healing in the aftermath of a reproductive loss. Call the International Helpline at 866-482-LIFE to talk with someone who has been where you are and healed to help others. Your call is confidential. 866-482-LIFE. Are you a financial advisor or CPA seeking to build your practice on biblical wisdom? Not only does the Certified Kingdom Advisor education provide you with deep biblical insights, the CKA designation sets you apart. Each year, almost 50,000 people search for a Christian financial advisor. Join our community and share your expertise with clients looking for someone who shares their faith and values. Find more information at kingdomadvisors.com/get-certified.
Rob West of Faith and Finance. I'd like to take a moment to ask you to consider investing in the ministry that you know as American Family Association. One way you can support AFA's efforts is through your estate planning. You can shore up permanent income for your retirement years while supporting the culture-transforming work of the American Family Association. Call 800-326-4543, extension 345, or visit afafoundation.net.
Faith and Finance is grateful for support from Sound Mind Investing. For more than 30 years, they've offered financial wisdom for living well. SMI provides step-by-step guidance for do-it-yourself investors, from those just getting started to those getting ready for retirement. More information, including a short video webinar on profit and peace of mind, no matter what's happening in the market, is available at soundmindinvesting.org.
For joining us today on Faith and Finance here on American Family Radio. Our goal in this program to be encouraging to you, to be reverent as we approach God's Word, to be hopeful, to be wise, even to provide you expert financial advice. We do that in the objective, ultimately, of helping you be that wise and faithful steward, realizing that money is not an end, it's a means to an end. It's a tool to accomplish God's purposes. It all belongs to Him, and there are real stewardship implications. I need to be faithful in a little. I need to maintain an eternal perspective. I need to hold it loosely and give it generously. I need to understand that I don't have ownership rights. I have stewardship responsibilities, and the list goes on. But it's a game changer when we understand that and really see God as our ultimate treasure, not anything found in this word. I hope that, or world, I should say, I hope that that's your primary takeaway each day as you join us here on this broadcast. Call with those questions, but also call with those testimonies, because we want to hear how God has been at work in your life financially. That's an encouragement to others. And in fact, we have one of those testimonies right now. Key is calling from Flintstone, Georgia. Key, share your story with us.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I heard a lady, and she was real leery about the Christian finance program. And so a couple of years ago, me and my husband were barely getting by. We had about $40,000 in credit card debt. And I heard it on the radio, so I called, and we were paying like $1,600 a month just in credit card bills. And they got us down to $925 a month. And then we were able to, of course, my mother passed away, but we were able to take some money and pay it off early, and we are currently debt-free with credit cards.
Wow, that's incredible, Key. Man, I'm so thrilled to hear that. I can imagine. Now, you were able to drop the monthly payment, so you were sitting up at around 3% or so. They dropped you down to about 2.3%, but obviously those interest rates came down quite a bit, didn't they?
Yes, because the interest rates that we were paying, because we had so many credit cards, it was a high rate.
Yes.
And my credit score wasn't good, nothing. And so when they looked it over, they dealt with the credit card people, got the interest, I guess they got it stopped or lowered. Yes. And we were able to get out. Something that I never thought we would ever be able to do.
Key, how does that feel to know that you're debt-free now?
It feels awesome. Even though I lost my mother in the, she left us money too. So that kind of helped us pay it off a little early. That is the best decision we ever made, was to go through the Christian credit counseling. Best decision.
I'm so delighted for you and your husband, Key, and I'm so thankful that you took the time to share this story. What would you say, just last question, what would you say to somebody who's listening today, who's where you were when you had that $40,000 and just feels like there's not any hope for them?
I would say call Christian Credit Counseling, give them your debt. They were very nice, very understanding. See what they can do for you, because like I said, we were paying like $1,600 a month, and they knocked our payments down to $925.
Yeah, boy, that's incredible.
So we had so much money we could pay off early.
All right, that's great. Well, Key, thank you for calling today. All the best to you and your husband, and we appreciate you being a regular listener and for sharing your story. By the way, folks, if you find yourself in that position and you'd like to connect with our friends at Christian Credit Counselors, you can do that at christiancreditcounselors.org, christiancreditcounselors.org. If you'd rather email info@christiancreditcounselors.org. Thanks, Key. Let's go to Arkansas. Dawn, go ahead.
Yes, my daughter has saved money for a down payment for her first house, so really proud mama moment. And her credit score is actually in the 770s, but I think that 780 is kind of a magic number to get a better rate. And so wondering what I can tell her that she could do in order to increase her credit score quickly, easily. And I'm also particularly wondering, she's never gotten a credit card. And so she knows that she needs to be a good steward of that. And should we, in order to increase her credit utilization, would it be a good idea to get a credit card? That way, as long as she keeps it paid off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's fabulous that she has that 770 score. I would say that in terms of a score, really anything between 760 and 850 is considered excellent credit, and she's going to qualify for the very best interest rates and terms on loans, mortgages, and credit cards. So, she's already there with regard to the credit score. The only thing that may be at her disadvantage is just the income that she has because she's just starting out. So there's really not a whole lot else that she needs to do specifically related to that credit score. I mean, if you wanted to continue to try to get it up, I think certainly she could go out and get a credit card, whether it's secured or unsecured, and just put a budgeted recurring charge on it that she pays off every month and keep that credit utilization very low.
じゃあ、気をつけて。迎えに来るから、中まで。雨が降ってるから気をつけて。
Up some great questions in advance. So when we come back, we'll dive into those as we apply God's wisdom to your financial decisions and choices. More calls just around the corner on Faith and Finance. Stick around.
Faith and Finance is grateful for the support of certified Kingdom advisor Wade Chessman at Chessman Wealth Strategies. He strives to help his clients' biblical values guide their financial future. Wade has written a downloadable brochure that addresses specific issues Christians face in managing their finances. You can get it at chessmanwealth.com/